We're back finally. Oh, it feels so good. Yes, I'm back finally. Just want to have some fun tonight. I told myself I'm going to stay home today and I'm going to create some content. And I sat here all day long contemplating what type of content I'm going to make. Didn't fall through, but here we are late at night. I'm a super night owl. I tried every other way. I used to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go work out. Truth be told, I feel like this is my Zen hour. And I don't even believe in that stuff. This is just my happy hour right now. I feel like this is my content hour. I slept for the majority of the day. I felt like the Lord put me to sleep today and said, don't get up until you're rejuvenated. And I'm like, all right, so here we are. And I'm going to just react over some videos off of YouTube because at the end of the day, we got to create some content. It's 2023. It's time to stop playing around. I just want to start off the year by saying that I'm thankful. I'm just grateful for a lot of things. I'm still here, still alive, still healthy. I want to react to this video right here from Valuetainment. It came out three days ago. Bet Patrick David, yes. Been listening to his content for a very long time now. Love him in the game. I think he's a great guy. He does his thing well. And here he's reacting to Joe Rogan, saying he's great for society and that he's the GOAT. So I want to hear what he got to say.
One of the things I love about Joe Rogan is I went and saw him I was in Utah with my parents and he said, come down. And I'm just standing in the wings and watching my friend perform for 14,000 people.
Wow.
Okay. His fame is as big as it gets. But I got to tell you, man, what I saw, which is probably going to hit soon, that special is as good as anything he was doing that got him to the game.
Wow.
And that's called hunger. That he's always stayed hungry. He's
Respect
always stayed
to the hungry.
You know, Tyson was talking, these guys are saying, you're saying $30 million doesn't make you happy? And he looked at these guys and he said, he's got these great nuggets. He said, God has a way of getting back at you by giving you everything you want before you can handle it. I was like, damn, man. So it's like, it's the same thing. The wolf at the door is luxury, not struggle.
But that's why, Joe's the GOAT. Joe is the GOAT of this space, period.
But Cyril Gahn's no joke.
You got a John Jones, you got a MJ, you got a Brady, you got a Joe Rogan. Okay? He's in that space on where he's at.
Really?
Joe, this is the picture, by the way.
Relating him to Brady.
Was there anything about Rogan at that point?
Yes.
That was like...
So let's take into account. Joe Rogan's been on the scene since around 95. He was a comedian. And he's been online and on TV for so many years. He's been doing it. He's been putting in the work. Respect due to him.
You're going to be the GOAT of
the fundamental
everything.
difference between Joe and I is this.
Yeah.
I suffered from wishful thinking. And I suffered from something... I was very positive, and I was not afraid of the world. I had an upbringing that made me safe. Okay. I never catastrophized things. I was always like, it'll always work out. I had an arrogance when I was a young man, which was the idea that I was one of God's favorites. In a way, I worked hard. I did all right in my life. I couldn't stand sitting a bench in anything. I had to be,
I'm one of God's favorites too. That's how I feel. Like, I genuinely feel that way. I'm one of God's favorites. I'm probably not in a place financially proving that, but think about this. Jesus walked the earth without even having that dough. All he did was miracles. Slept on the streets. Life is better when you got money. It is. It's not everything. Truth be told, it's not everything. I know people that got money and they're miserable. They complain about everything. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And the majority of the time, if you're complaining too much, you got death within your system.
I was never as honest with myself. I was always honest, but not honest the way he was. He was brutally honest with himself because Joe grew up in a world where he only had himself to rely on. He grew up in a world that was dangerous from the age of about 9 on. It was only him, man. I didn't grow up that way. So Joe is always afraid of the world. Joe was very aware of how bad it could be. It was like somebody comes out of war and realizes you're complaining about those dinner rolls. Yeah, is that what you're doing? Talk to somebody who came from a war-torn country and watch how grateful they are, but also watch how hard they work. Man, fear and the idea that you never want to go back to that thing over there is a very powerful motivator. And he's the kind of guy also who had the imagination and to realize what he was able to become. He felt his own potential, and he figured out a long time ago that if...
That's very important because a lot of people around you, they're only going to look at you for your flaws. They're only going to look at you for the mistakes that you make. It is what it is. That's how people are engineered. You got to look at yourself, introspect yourself, and see your own potential. I know what potential I have. I know what I can create. I know what I could get out there and do. I know what I have the potential to do, and I don't need nobody to push me. I know when it's time to work. I know when it's time to move. I know when it's time to make the next step. I know what to put on a pedestal, what not to put on a pedestal, because at the end of the day, what you focus on is what you put your energy into. And if you ain't putting your energy into the right things, whatever it is you need to be fulfilling in this life, you're not going to fulfill it. I got dreams. I got aspirations. I got things that I want to accomplish in this life. In order for me to get these things done, I need to think deeply about what it is that I really want to do, because you may have the talent to do many things in this life. You really got to find out what it is that's the most fulfilling thing that brings you your peace and your happiness. Because your fulfillment is your fulfillment. You can't play around with that. You can't. You got people out there that want to mold and shape you, treat you like a robot, tell you what to do, saying you should do this, you should do that. You know what you need to be doing. You need to lock in on what matters. That's all that matters.
I work harder than somebody else. More importantly, if I'm consistent, if I'm really consistent, and I'm really honest with my shortcomings, I'll get ahead. And he was never not intense that way. But I would say to add to that, the most important thing was probably his brutal honesty with everyone around him and himself. That guy was I remember when when I started doing Fighter and the Kid, we started getting sponsors, and sponsors were coming to us, and we had a long conversation about the importance of only letting people that sponsor you be the kinds of brands you believe in. If you take shortcuts, it's going to be a bad situation.
Great counsel.
And we used to call it the pesky truth. More than anybody else, he was always the guy who would say to me, "You're bullshitting. You're bullshitting yourself. You're not working hard enough." Whatever it was, he was that friend.
You need friends like that, friends that you trust and friends that you feel as if they have the wisdom to provide to you. Not everybody who thinks they're smart are wise, and a lot of people don't have the wisdom to speak into your life and don't deserve to speak into your life. The friends that you need in your life are the ones you know you're going to build and grow with. If you ain't going to build and grow with them, stop taking advice from people, because there's some people out there, they really put themselves on a pedestal, and truth be told, they have no wisdom. They probably accomplish things here and there in life, but doesn't mean, at the end of the day, doesn't mean that they need to be speaking into your life, especially if you guys don't have the same mentality, same mindset, same direction. You really got to focus in on you. And if somebody or something doesn't work for you, it's going to be your headache in the long run.
There's different ways you measure someone's success. We're talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson. He says the 4 things on how to measure whether someone's going to be success. It's what grades in school, ambition, social, how they're good with people, and the last, how they bounce back, right? Okay. Hey, how you measure success for somebody who's a great parent? Well, watch their grandkids. That's how you measure if they were a great parent or not, because they raised great kids who raise great kids, right? It's not talked about enough. You know the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with or whatever, that whole conversation? Yeah. Fine. We give that conversation. But is it really 5, or is it really one person in that 5 that's holding everybody together at the highest level of standards, and it's that one flippin' annoying guy that you love?
Right.
That one person,
that's a leader.
It's not 5. I am convinced it is not 5. It's impossible to be 5.
Right.
In the group of 5, there's an alpha. That alpha sets the tone. And in the alpha, you try to bullshit the alpha, and the alpha says, yeah, you're full of shit. It's not going to happen. The alpha, you try to convince, yeah, what about we do this? Yeah, I don't know about that. It's not going to happen. So some people can't take that. So you sit there and say, screw this guy. Who the hell does he think he is? You filter out. No problem. You were never meant to be in that group. You think you are the alpha. You're not the alpha. You wish you were the alpha. You don't do what the alpha does to be the alpha. Joe's an alpha. It's very simple. Joe's the alpha.
Yes, he is.
When I was with Tate, I pulled him aside. I said, listen, I really like your brother. I really like how he is with you. Tristan. I said, but to me, he knows you're the alpha. He says, you think so? I don't know if you remember this. I said, no, I think he knows you're the alpha. And he gives you that respect, right? Even with DJ Khaled and who's the other guy? Fat Joe, where Fat Joe says, Khaled's younger than him. He's my young, but he's the alpha, right? Mm-hmm. Each group has that. If you can find a friend like Joe.
But there are good alphas and there are bad alphas.
Of course, there's a difference. The bad alpha is a bully. I mean,
yes. And he's not dealing with the truth.
No, he's not.
The good alpha keeps everybody. They keep them in line with the truth.
It's not about them. Like he doesn't need the credit. Like a real alpha doesn't need other people to tell him they're an alpha. And hey, right. I constantly need confirmation. A bad alpha needs constant confirmation. A real alpha, you don't need confirmation.
The literature backs you up on everything you said. Men delineate authority very quickly.
Yes, they're right. Joe Rogan is an alpha. He's been doing this thing for a very long time. Truth be told, I respect his body of work and everything that he's accomplished, especially on his audaciousness on challenging things and challenging mindsets and challenging things that are out there that are questionable. Me personally, I like to question everything. I don't let things rock. If it doesn't feel right for me, I gotta look into it. Pertaining to everything, even when it came to taking it wasn't my thing. I didn't trust it. I didn't believe it at all, instinctively. I feel like there's some bad actors out there that are just manipulating people left and right, and I don't trust anybody. From the way I grew up, from what I've studied, keep in mind I've read the Bible over 5 times. There were people in scripture that used to say, "Thus saith the Lord," and God would be like, "Really? I had nothing to do with that." And the majority of the people will follow these people. God would tell them straight up, "I didn't send them." And he would judge those individuals for fronting, for being fake. They're saying God is saying something. From then on, I would always think, you can't trust nobody. Because even the most trustworthy people in this world ain't got it together. It is what it is in life. You got to question everything. You got to look out for your own. I respect his work. Joe Rogan is the man. I don't believe everything he believes. He don't believe everything I believe. But I respect him as a man and what he's accomplished. How many people out there could sit in front of a camera and make $100 million deal and do controversial stuff and still be here, still do their thing? There's a lot of things that are controversial that I could speak about, but I choose not to speak about it because I'm just a one-man band, one-man show. And I feel as if you got to earn your respect in this thing. You got to level up little by little, let people know who you are, let people know what you're about, and that's all very important. That's all I wanted to say. And thank you for watching the video. If you made it to the end, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you on the next video.